year, what have been your main achievements with the ministry, and what are the challenges you're facing?
The ministry itself is a challenge because our focus groups are the underprivileged, the people who need special attention, people with specific needs. You have the socially disadvantaged groups like the scheduled castes, the backward classes. Then the other side you have people with disabilities, physical disabilities, other challenges. You have senior citizens who need to be handled with care. You have victims of drug abuse. They have altogether different kind of needs. So all this has to be dealt with. We have certain policies in place, and we are putting other policies out. For example, the senior citizens, their policy. Everything has to be worked and reworked regularly.
Yeah.
So we're working on many new things. Fundings, how to fund the NGOs. That in itself is a big challenge for the ministry and takes up a lot of time. I propose to change that so that we involve other organizations and the ministry burden is reduced so that their time can be taken up for other more constructive work. More ideas can flow in. We'll be looking at all that.
Yeah. And any schemes, specific schemes, like besides the one for the senior citizens you've launched last year? Or, I mean, are you planning to launch?
What are the schemes that are close to your heart?
Yeah.
Let's say that.
I feel that people, one of the things, I mean, as an example, I'm saying, people who take special interest in the world of, say, disabilities, the caregivers, those who are working with the NGOs, those who are catering to this very specific sector, sometimes I feel that not enough attention is paid to them. So we need to take a relook and see that they get better emoluments, because even an ordinary teacher would be getting much more than these instructors who are dealing with special people. So I thought that was something we need to take a look at. A lot of NGOs have also approached us. So that, for example, this is one thing we are definitely looking at. Other thing is also to, as I said, till now the ministry has been dealing with the NGOs from the whole country. Sometimes the process becomes rather cumbersome. So I was thinking that also needs to, I've set up a committee and hopefully we should roll out the new plan of action soon, that with this kind of cumbersome procedure, a lot of time is lost, and the NGOs also have to run from pillar to post, which I think is not very good for the system. Needs to be simplified. We're working on that also.
But how would you then streamline it? I mean, exactly what would be done?
It'll be out in a few weeks.
Okay. Since you're talking of NGOs, we have perhaps millions of NGOs in the country.
Yes.
How?
Some are good,
Yeah,
some
exactly.
are not good.
So how do you vet them?
So you have to sift, and it becomes difficult for the ministry, for the officials sitting here in the secretariat to know that. Although that process is supposed to take place at the, say, district level and at the state level, then they forward these cases to us. But still there are complaints. There are a lot of complaints. I can't say that this system is foolproof. So we are trying to streamline this very process so that the NGOs who are genuine get some part of funding from us and encouragement from us. And those which are not should obviously be not considered.
Okay, so you have a list of good NGOs versus bad NGOs that you have?
Well, there's nothing
enough
like
in your
that.
life?
There's nothing like that there's a list of good NGOs or bad NGOs, because sitting, as I said, sitting in one office in Delhi, you're not in a position to say that. But at least the system can be streamlined in that you only extend help to the NGOs which have a proven track record.
You run perhaps hundreds of schemes
Yes,
covering all
well,
sectors.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
schemes.
So,
There are a lot of schemes. Some of them we are also planning to roll out under the direct benefit transfer scheme. For example, scholarships, so that again we don't lose much time, and whatever help we extend from here, the scholarship amount is goes straight to the beneficiary's account based on his Aadhaar number, so that we can track each and every student in the country and we know who is getting the benefit of our schemes.
will this in any way improve the efficiency of the schemes as well as prevent leakages?
Definitely, definitely. This is the main intent of this scheme, because lot of it's not just ours, but a lot of schemes of government of India are being rolled out under the DBT, and we have one of the largest number of schemes under this, and I'm sure that in the coming times, whatever leakages that have been taking place or alleged to take place, we'll be able to plug those, and the beneficiary knows exactly what is he or she is getting and from where and how it's coming. And I think we should give them that credit also, that they should know.
But one of the criticisms of the DBT has been that many of the people don't have bank accounts, don't have access to banks or even to post office accounts. So how do you then
Well,
ensure?
I don't say that this is criticism. It could be a shortcoming.
It's a factual thing, yeah.
But that has to be plugged then. We will also know exactly how many have access to these services, so that if those who are not covered, we will have to extend these services, whether it's through bank accounts, whether it's through post offices. So each and every person in the country must be covered. That is the intent.
Okay, so you have people in the ground helping those farmers, for example, who have no access to bank accounts to actually open a bank account. Or
Yes, yes. And then it will be Aadhaar based, so that everything is clean, clear, and people know the identity of the person. So then there is less scope for any fudging at that end also. I think the intention should be lauded, because this kind of thing on such a huge scale is being done for the first time, and you see that throughout the world how things are done. Look at the magnitude of our challenges, see how we are meeting up. I think all encouragement should be given.
Two questions on the positive discrimination policies of India. First is, of course, a very basic one which has been debated earlier also. Should there be a time limit that should be set for these things, that in certain years to come we would have overcome this?
I wish we could, and that would be the most desirable thing if we were to achieve results from these affirmative action in a fixed time frame. But unfortunately, this discrimination, some is tangible, some is not, and because it's so social and it has come down to us from ages of a different mindset, it takes a while. And even after so many decades after independence and affirmative action in certain areas, today still you can't say that you have achieved the goal. So while a time frame is very desirable from any point of view, especially from the point of view of those who are the underprivileged, it would be a very happy situation if we were to say that, okay, we'll get all this, and we'll get there at that level, whether it's economically or socially, say, in so many years. I think our people would be very happy with that. But unfortunately, it has not happened. I think till such time that this discrimination of thousands of years can be wiped out, we must keep striving and pitch for affirmative action in any sector.
Would you say that you or the government or ministry is more or less satisfied with the way it has progressed over the last 65 years?
You know, when you see the challenges, yes, we have come a long way. One cannot say that nothing has been done. A lot has been done. A lot has been achieved. But I think when you also think of the kind of discriminations and new challenges and new kind of discriminations that are thrown up in these times, then you have to think of devise newer ways and think of different initiatives which will tackle them. So, in one way, yes, we have come a long way, but when you look at it from a different perspective, we still have a long way to go.
So, are you looking at models done by other countries as a
Well, some yes, but these kind of problems that we face are different and unique perhaps to our subcontinent, to our country. So we are evolving, we have evolved our own models. Some of them have had some measure of success, some need to be changed from time to time. But we have had to chalk out our own path, which is not to say that we don't want to learn from other experiences. I think our country prides itself in learning from others, and we have learned. But end of the day, you have to evolve your own path.
Well, as far as the caste-based
Discrimination.
constituency goes, you
Yeah.
at least have very reliable and good data on how many people are there who need to be, given this facility. What about other issues that you handle, for instance, drug abuse or substance abuse or even disability? Would you say that the data available with your ministries?
I think you have a point there because many things in our country go unreported or underreported, even as far as disabilities are concerned. We have a certain number, say less than 3 crores, but we feel that it is more because many times even parents do not acknowledge the fact that the children suffer from certain disabilities. We have this tendency of trying to hide it from society. Society tries to hide it from, exposing it. So we are faced with these challenges also, how to bring it out. And as far as drug abuse is concerned, that I think, anywhere in the world, many times it remains in the closet. Also a challenge to bring it out of the closet and then face it and then try to counsel them. First thing is to even admit that you need help in this. So, as you say, it's not that everything is out there in the open, especially where drug abuse is concerned. People with special needs are concerned. These challenges are huge, but we have to face them, we have to meet them. And fortunately, the good thing is that the government has policies where a lot of people are taking advantage, and we also, I must say, must place on record that we also have a lot of committed people in this country who are working either with the government or they are working with NGOs. I think that is a beacon of light.
You recently created a separate department for disabilities.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? What exactly you do? And
Earlier it was a very small section in the ministry, and perhaps it did not get the attention that it deserved. So, it was decided that we must upgrade that, and a separate department must be created in the ministry. We have a full-fledged secretary looking after this, and I'm sure that in the coming times the ministry will be able to focus much more on these challenges.
Once again, do you know the scope of disabilities and which are the principal disabilities affecting Indians?
There are the physical disabilities, there is and then of course you go into there are wide spectrum, autism, mental retardation, blindness, hearing impairment, all kinds of things, motor disabilities. So there are, and then again, as I said, wide spectrum from a small disability to the severe ones. So, and each has to be dealt with separately and in a very sensitive fashion. So you can understand what it entails.
And as far as physical disability is concerned, the main problem would be access to the city, in the city. So are you working with like
one is physical access.
Yeah.
One is physical access to say buildings or public transport or other things. That is the other one also equally is education, for example, and how to stand on your own feet, be independent, how to earn. These are also there. So access to different things.
There's also been some talk in the past, at least, that government would like to push corporate sector into having certain reservations in their employment for the backward class. Is that going anywhere?
We are in constant dialogue with the private sector, with the chambers of industry, and we have had good rounds of discussions. They have evolved their own codes, and it's not what it should be, but at least they do recognize it and they want to cooperate with us. So I'm hopeful that it will lead to even more positive results in future. It's a very complex situation, as usual, where caste is concerned. So while on one hand there is this thinking which has watered down quite a bit, that then what will happen to whether if such people come up, then are we compromising in certain aspects? But now I think people do understand that no, it's not that, but affirmative action is required, positive discrimination is required. How to go about it, that is the question.
So you would stay on the voluntary mode for the moment?
Well, at the moment it is that, but we are talking to them that if we don't see results, then what does the government do? So it would be a good thing if they come up with something more concrete. I'm still in touch with them. We are always in dialogue, and even in the coming times, the near future, I intend to have a discussion with them again, wider range of discussions and a bigger conference and workshop. Chalo, ab I have to
Last question. The economic crisis, the slowdown in the growth of GDP in the country, how has that impacted your ministry and your budgets?
Well, yes, it has affected our budget. It has affected, and but we have been also assured by the finance minister that this year there will not be a problem, and we should start spending now. I have conveyed this to our stakeholders, to the state governments. They should start taking advantage right now and start sending us the proposals so that it doesn't pile up.
And just one last question, just for it. The resistance of the society to change, certain things that you are trying to implement in terms of changes of attitude, etc. I'll get more pointed here. It's the issue with the cup panchayats, intercaste marriages, etc. How serious is that challenge, and how can you then work on that?
You know, sometimes you hit upon these kind of things in society, but I think we are moving ahead and we need to be forward looking. Today, the younger generation is very impatient, and we need to come to terms with all these challenges. On one hand, you have the old way of thinking, on the other hand, you have the newer generation. I think while going ahead, we should also not forget our roots, our culture that is there. But then the older people should also understand the aspirations of the younger generation, because times will move ahead regardless whether we want it or not. It would be good if there's mutual understanding between aspirations and keeping our old culture intact. There has to be a symbiotic relationship.
Thank you.